Welcome back to Reality TV Uncovered, the channel where we explore the lives of your favorite stars from shows like 90 Day Fiancé. Today we're talking about a heartbreaking event that has left fans around the world shocked and praying. Gino Palazzolo and his new girlfriend, Natalie, had gone to a five-star hotel for a romantic day together. They spent the day happily, but on their way back that night, they were in a serious car accident. Gino's condition became very critical after the crash. He was rushed to the hospital and admitted to the intensive care unit, ICU. He is currently fighting for his life. Thankfully, Natalie was not seriously injured, but the situation soon became even more emotional. Gino's ex-wife, Denise Palazzolo, came to the hospital. She was heartbroken when she saw him. With tears in her eyes, she sat by his side and expressed her deep sadness. To understand how this moment came to be, we need to look at Gino's recent past. For years, Gino's life was tied to Jasmine Pineda from Panama. Their intense relationship was a big part of the show, but off camera, things were falling apart. After the last season, the couple quietly split up. The pressure, the public attention, and their differences were just too much. Gino returned to Michigan and kept a low profile. Still, he has always been a romantic, and he soon met someone new. Natalie is a 31-year-old graphic designer from Grand Rapids. Unlike Jasmine, she wasn't interested in fame or drama. She gave Gino something he had wanted for a long time: a normal relationship. They were introduced through friends and began dating a few months ago. They kept their relationship private and away from the spotlight. This past Saturday, Gino and Natalie decided to take a special day for themselves. Gino booked a room at the Grand Heritage, a luxury hotel in downtown Grand Rapids. It was a classic Gino move, trying to make things romantic. Sources at the hotel said the couple looked happy and very much in love. They checked in around 1 p.m. A hotel worker said they were sweet and quiet. Gino wore his hat and tried to stay low-key, but he clearly wanted to impress her. She laughed a lot. Around 3 p.m., they ordered champagne and strawberries. They spent the afternoon in their room, enjoying room service, talking, and watching movies. It was peaceful and far from the dramatic scenes of his previous relationships. For a few hours, Gino was just a man enjoying a date with someone he liked without an audience. As the evening came, they went out for a romantic dinner at a small Italian restaurant nearby. Witnesses said they were holding hands, sharing wine, and enjoying their time together. They left the restaurant around 10:30 p.m., feeling full and hopeful for the future. The night was cool and clear. Gino drove his dark-colored SUV, with Natalie in the passenger seat. They were taking a quiet country road just a few miles from their hotel. At 10:52 p.m., according to the Michigan State Police report, a Ford F-150 pickup truck ran a red light at Willow Creek Road and Ridgeview Drive. The truck, going over 60 miles per hour in a 45 zone, hit the driver's side of Gino's SUV with terrible force. It was a very serious accident. Police and emergency crews described it as one of the worst crashes they had seen in months. The road was closed for hours. The truck's driver, a 22-year-old man, was conscious and had leg pain. He was later charged with driving while intoxicated and reckless driving causing serious injury. But Gino's side was much worse. The driver's side of his vehicle was crushed. He was unconscious and trapped inside. He had suffered major injuries. Paramedics worked quickly to stabilize him while firefighters used the jaws of life to cut him free. Natalie was awake but in shock. She had a broken arm, cuts on her face and arms from the broken glass, and likely a concussion. But she was able to understand what was happening. A first responder said it was a terrible scene. Gino was in critical condition and needed to get to a trauma center fast. Natalie kept asking, "Is he okay? Please help him." Gino and Natalie were taken in two separate ambulances to Spectrum Health Butterworth Hospital, one of the best trauma centers in Western Michigan. Natalie had physical injuries, but was mostly worried about Gino. Gino, meanwhile, was fighting for his life. When they arrived, Gino was rushed into surgery. His injuries were very serious: internal bleeding, a torn liver, broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and a traumatic brain injury causing dangerous swelling. A neurosurgeon was called in from home. Natalie, with her arm in a temporary cast and her face bandaged, was treated in the ER. But she couldn't stop worrying about Gino. As soon as she could, she went to the surgical waiting room. Some of Gino's close friends were also there. For hours, they waited. The news from the surgery was not good. Doctors were trying to stop the bleeding and reduce the swelling in his brain, but his condition remained very critical. His survival was uncertain. As word of the accident spread, someone from Gino's past heard the news, his ex-wife, Denise Palazzolo. Despite their complicated history, she still cared deeply about him. Denise and Gino's relationship was briefly mentioned on the show. Even after their divorce, they stayed on good terms. She had even offered him advice during his ups and downs with Jasmine. When she arrived at the hospital and saw Gino in such a fragile state, she was devastated. She sat by his side with tears in her eyes, mourning the man she once loved and hoping he would pull through. When Denise heard the news, she drove straight to the hospital. She wasn't there as an ex-wife looking for drama. She was there as someone who had known Gino for decades, as a friend who understood the real person behind his TV image. The moment when Gino's current girlfriend and his ex-wife met could have been tense, but it wasn't. It was a deeply emotional time for both of them. Natalie, still young, scared, and hurt, seemed relieved that someone else cared about Gino as much as she did. Denise, always calm and caring, offered support to Natalie, who clearly felt overwhelmed. Someone in the waiting room said, "It wasn't awkward, it was sad." Denise hugged Natalie and asked, "How are you holding up?" She noticed her injuries. The two women cried together. They were simply two people who loved the same man and were afraid of losing him. Around 4:30 a.m., a surgeon came out, still wearing his scrubs, looking tired. The news wasn't good. The surgery went as well as it could, but the injuries were very serious. Gino was now stable, but only just. He was put on a ventilator. Doctors were especially worried about the swelling in his brain. He was moved to the neurosurgical ICU. The next 24 to 48 hours would be critical. Gino was placed in a medically induced coma to give his brain the best chance to heal. Now everyone could only wait. Nothing prepares you for seeing someone you love lying still in an ICU bed. The sounds of machines, the ventilator, and all the tubes connected to him were overwhelming. Gino, who was always full of nervous energy and awkward smiles, was now pale, still, and hard to recognize. His head was bandaged. Only the stubble on his chin and his strong hands looked familiar. Natalie, with her broken arm, could only stay by his bedside for a short time before she had to step out, too emotional to handle it. A nurse helped her out of the room. Then Denise asked to be alone with Gino. What happened next was a deeply personal moment that only the machines and a kind nurse witnessed. Denise, always composed, broke down completely. She held Gino's hand and cried, her shoulders shaking. A nurse said, "You see a lot of grief in the ICU. It's part of the job." But this was different. This wasn't just sadness. This was deep heartbreak. Denise spoke to Gino through her tears. She wasn't his wife anymore, but the love and history they shared were still there. It was a real, raw, emotional moment. We may never know the exact words she said, but someone close to Denise shared the heart of her message. Through her tears, she told Gino she was sorry for the pain they had caused each other. She told him he was a good man with a kind heart who always tried to make people happy. She begged him not to give up, to keep fighting, to come back. She reminded him of happy memories, private jokes they had shared, and moments that only the two of them would understand. She told him he was loved. She told him that he mattered. She whispered, "It's not your time, Gino. It's not your time." She stayed with him for a long time, holding his hand. Her tears fell onto the hospital sheets. There were no cameras, no audience, no agenda, just a woman facing the possible loss of someone she once loved deeply. By morning, the news had spread. TN's was the first outlet to report the story, followed by major news and entertainment sources. The 90-Day Fiancé community was shaken. Cast members from the show started posting messages of support on Instagram. Jasmine Pineda, still in Panama, shared a long emotional message. She wrote, "My heart is broken into 1,000 pieces hearing this news. Gino, you are a kind and beautiful soul. I am praying for you with all my strength. Please, please fight. The world needs your light. My thoughts are also with your family and loved ones during this unimaginable time. Take care mucho. Back in Michigan, the hospital vigil continued. Gino's family had been told and were on their way to be with him. Close friends, along with Natalie and Denise, stayed at the hospital. In an unexpected turn, Denise became a strong support for Natalie. The two women formed a surprising bond through their shared fear and sadness. Doctors were still cautious. The brain injury was the main concern. The coma was protecting Gino's brain, but they wouldn't know how much damage had been done until they slowly reduced the sedation. Every small change in his vital signs was either a sign of hope or a cause for worry. Gino, who had shared so much of his personal life on TV, was now fighting the most private and serious battle of his life. His story is currently on hold. The arguments, the dramatic scenes, the memes about his hats, none of that matters now. This accident is a reminder of how fragile life is. One mistake by a stranger changed everything. It also shows how love and human connection can take unexpected forms. An ex-wife crying by her former husband's side, comforting his new girlfriend. This moment shows that some relationships, though changed, still run deep. As of now, Gino Palazzolo remains in the ICU. His condition is critical but stable. He is still in a coma. He is still fighting. Fans from around the world and the 90-Day Fiancé family are hoping and praying for his recovery. We all want to believe that this is not the end of his story. We will continue to follow this situation and share updates when they are available. For now, we ask you to join us in sending thoughts of strength and healing to Gino, to Natalie, to Denise, and to everyone who loves him. There's also another part of the story that's been gaining attention. Gino ruined his date with Natalie when he made the shocking mistake of comparing her to Jasmine. He called her Jasmine's lookalike. This hurt Natalie deeply and left her embarrassed. Fans were quick to criticize Gino for being disrespectful. To make it worse, several cast members called him out, saying he didn't support Natalie and even abandoned her when she needed him. Natalie later opened up about why she ended things with Gino. She felt betrayed and disrespected. At the same time, Jasmine Pineda was making headlines with news about her career, even as she faces possible deportation. The drama between the three of them continues to interest viewers, mixing sadness, betrayal, and surprising new chapters. We'll explain everything in the upcoming videos. Natalie looks a lot like Jasmine and Pineda, his ex-wife. Not because she's lovely or anything. It was obvious that Gino could not stop thinking about Jasmine, but he made things unpleasant with Natalie as a result. The disturbing disclosures he made during his bathtub date with a final straw. Is this accurate? Give me a rundown of this. So what was revealed? For additional information regarding this controversy, continue reading. Famous 90-Day Fiancé star Jasmine Pineda has spoken her mind on her dislike for Natalie. It was stipulated in the open marriage arrangement. She said that the third party must have the blessing of both spouses. According to the famous person, Gino refused to say yes to Natalie, but she did it with Matt Brownies. That is why Jasmine was rather forthright about her disapproval of Natalie. Gino brought his new girlfriend to the birthday party and Pina went completely bonkers. With physical aggression, Jasmine called Natalie and shoved her, slamming her. She yelled obscenities at Natalie. Celebrity 90-Day Finance actor Gino Palazzolo is smitten with his open marriage psychic Natalie, despite his inability to adequately express his admiration for her beauty. He went ahead and scheduled a bathtub date with the second one. According to the famous person during an interview, lovely lips and face, but holy cow, Gino went on to describe Natalie as a Latina with stunning dark hair and complexion. One issue nevertheless persisted. His new girlfriend looked a lot like Jasmine Pineda, and the celebrity couldn't ignore it. He went on to say, "You resemble Jasmine so closely. Now I'm starting to think about Jasmine a little bit." The sight of Pineda's face in Natalie's made Palazzolo lose control of himself. When asked about the similarities between Natalie and Jasmine, Gino said that he was starting to feel weird about things. Nonetheless, he committed to savoring their intimate moment in the tub. It seemed like Natalie was aroused as well, and she invited Gino to stay the night. On the other hand, he was not completely convinced. In his explanation, Gino said that he didn't think it was a good fit for him. He was at a loss for words when Natalie interrupted, asserting that he was still married. The famous person gave his approval and told the cameras that any time he looked at Natalie, it was like Jasmine was floating around in his head. 90 Day Fiancé cast members called Gino a coward for not standing up for Natalie. He abandoned her. Gino Palazzolo has gotten himself into a jam on Happily Ever After Season 9 4. Playing both sides. At his sister-in-law's party, he allegedly fled from Natalie and refused to defend her from Jasmine Panetta. Bringing his new fiancé to a birthday celebration was a big deal for the 90-day finance actor. As far as Gino could tell, Jasmine was rather abusive and violent. For all he knew, things might go, but Jasmine's audacious attack on Natalie stunned everyone. Accusations and public insults were hurled at her. The native Panamanian used derogatory terms to taunt her. Many fans were conflicted regarding Jasmine's conduct. Instead of standing up for Gino's fiancé, the TLC star accused him of being a coward. How does he appear to them? Their reasoning behind this belief is unclear. As far back as anyone can remember, Jasmine Panetta has been violent and abusive. There were other occasions on 90 Day Fiancé when viewers pointed out her violent tendencies. Their expectations for her first encounter with Gino's new girlfriend, Natalie, were very high. Compete mayhem and drama. At Michelle's birthday celebration, the Panamanian woman introduced Matt Briss as her new roommate. Noticing Gino and Natalie, Jasmine wasted no time in inquiring about the event's nature. "Why are we bringing from Vegas?" she inquired. Asterisk screaming ensued as Natalie's composure crumbled at the sound of the phrase. When Jasmine became angry, she began to yell at Gino's girlfriend and shove her. A fight broke out between the two, and the guests stepped in to prevent more harm. With no mercy, Jasmine continued to insult Natalie. After losing it, the latter slapped Gino and stormed out of the celebration. With Jasmine Panetta as his wife, Gino Palazzolo was unable to stand up for himself. She wanted an open marriage, but he ignored the warning signs and gave up on that. Watchers have long noted Jasmine's manipulation of the American native through the use of her sobs and cries, but Gino also can't manage to keep his new girlfriend safe. Just recently, he stood by and let Jasmine publicly insult and verbally harass Natalie. There was not a single word he could say to his wife or to spare his girlfriend the abuse. However, the 90 Day Finance star instead advised Natalie to disregard everything. "Oh, is that so?" Amidst all the turmoil, Gino's one piece of advice was to disregard his wife. Consequently, in the Pillow Talk episodes, a few of the cast members mocked his lack of courage. Jasmine and Natalie got into an intense altercation, which Kim Menzies, Jamal Menzies, and Josh Weinstein witnessed in the latest video. Their amusing reactions to the face-off was shared with the group. However, according to Jamal, Gino ought to have shouldered part of the blame. Josh concurred and felt it was the appropriate moment to confront Jasmine because she ought to have chosen Gino over his girlfriend. Amanda thought Jasmine was mistaken. To Emily's disgrace, Palazzolo was glaringly observing from behind the fact that he took Natalie to the party and then left her feeling abandoned led Veronica to agree for being hypocritical and deceiving his lover about their true dynamics. She severely criticized him. Natalie reveals the real reason why she dumped Gino brutally. Actress Natalie Morales' breakup with Gino Palazzolo wasn't a simple one. He and Jasmine Penita were left high and dry when she stormed out of their lives. Still, she is more than happy to tell her story. After much speculation, Natalie has now disclosed the truth regarding her breakup with Gino. The truth of what happened between her and Gino was exposed by Natalie, who isn't holding back. Even more shockingly, she leveled a laundry list of accusations on the latter, leaving spectators scratching their heads. Is this accurate? Give me a rundown of this. What did she disclose? The topic is heating up, so stay tuned for more details. No one can hold 90-day finance actor Gino Palazzolo accountable just yet. With Natalie gone, he keeps blaming everyone but himself, ruling everything were his cousin Dana and his wife Michelle. He publicly accused them of. He said he and Natalie had a great connection in the beginning of their relationship, but that their relationship fell down a cliff because of his marriage. For some reason, Gino can't stop thinking about what happened. He told the cameras about it. Had Michelle shown Natalie more respect? Or had Jasmine not shown there? He pondered. What would have transpired if Jasmine and Mule had done things correctly? In his opinion, things would have turned out very differently, and Natalie would still be with him today. In addition, Gino stated, "It kills me to think about it." After 90-Day Fire, star Natalie decided she'd had enough of Jasmine Penita's physical altercation. An insult, she stormed out and went to her hotel. No matter how much Gino Palazzolo attempted to make amends, she still wouldn't believe his explanations. As far as anyone can tell, Natalie blamed her boyfriend for pushing her into the flames and failing to inform her of the details. This was obviously unfair to her, and she was not going to tolerate the slight in any way. Natalie said, "I wish you had the guts to be honest with me. No woman worth her salt would ever desire to be a part of Jasmine and Gino's silly toxic drama, which she views as a manipulation of her." Also, Natalie brought up the fact that Jasmine was left with an unfinished business because Gino failed to provide her with a satisfactory resolution, and that she perceived a hope of reconciliation. After remembering that Gino had supper with Jasmine, Natalie felt a glimmer of hope. The second guy did his best to persuade Natalie that he provided a pretty good closure, but she was undecided. Additionally, she mentioned that she would not have ever met with Gino if she had known that Jasmine and Gino may end up together. According to Natalie, she wasn't the type of lady to waste time on drama like this. In spite of Gino's pleading, she decided to leave the hotel and pack her luggage. Regarding Natalie's choice, what is your opinion? Jasmine Penita reveals stunning career news amid threats of being deported. The 90-Day Fiancé happily ever after star is considering a career change to the United States after hearing rumors that one of her co-stars is attempting to have her deported. Gino and Jasmine met while she was a teacher in Panama. Gino may have felt pressured to pay Jasmine because she was a member of a sugar daddy website. Jasmine turned to adult modeling after losing her job in season 5 of Before the 90 Days. Even though Jasmine developed a protein powder and made money on Cameo, she has stated her intention to enter the real estate industry in the midst of her return to 90-Day Fiancé happily ever after. For season 9, Jasmine is juggling being a social media star, a mother to a newborn, and others urging her to leave the nation. It appears like Jasmine's plans to earn her real estate license may have to take a back seat for the time being. Several images taken from Jasmine's Instagram account were released by 90-Day Update. Jasmine wants to be an immigration attorney was the caption they used for the post. Jasmine expressed her desire to become an immigration lawyer as a calling in her story. Jasmine continued by saying she We'll keep praying to God to guide her.